Okay, welcome back. You made it even after 3-day weekend when you're probably contemplating on Tuesday morning, like, should I go back? This could be it. This could be my life. I could just be gone. But you're here. I guess we still have another minute, but you're here. We can get started. Did you break anything yet? Errors in code and things that you don't know how to solve? Anything like fun to work through? Reproducing bugs and that kind of stuff? Not yet? You should be breaking stuff. Like, it should be constant trying to push things a little bit further than they should go, but it's broken. Trying new concepts that aren't quite in there yet. But nothing yet. Still early in the semester. In the day. Still early in the day. We have time to break more stuff. What about content questions or course questions so far? Does anyone want to start with something? Nothing? All right, let me check in. I'll check in on where people are at, what we're working on, and then come back up with any problems, explanations, or demos that might help in general. So Lynn's space is great. That's how it's great. Yeah. Like you can probably get away with as little as like 10 data, but anything that shows that you're actually finding a sign. Yeah. So I'm trying to write the pins. For a large part, I know I like the technical ones. I know what that's from. But but the thing is, it keeps on printing every single number except for yes, so 2 is in there. You're like discovering Yeah, so there you only have data times 0, temperature 1, time 1, temperature 2. So the derivative that you can calculate is in the year 1900.
That's low key me, bro. It hit 2 a.m. yesterday. I was like, I gotta watch this dumbass. Bro, so I was fucking. Dude, they don't even say it. The songs, you gotta read them. You can definitely fish. You can definitely fish. You gotta write 50 pages of that. 50 pages. Yeah, that's what you were like. You do that. You get there, it's just like someone's like, yo, what's the project? And you're like, oh yeah.
I've got 1,000 almost 40 done.
Seven class.
Oh, you're not dropping me, but
Pages next to
I don't even know what I'm doing.
Look at your student report. Yeah.
Slow. Alright, good. There we go. Alright, so we had a couple of questions come up about like doing FISBAs. One of the first like starting points is just how do you even recognize that like the number 2 is divisible by 2? Like how does a computer know that if you divide 2 by 2 that it is just a 1, that it's not like 1 point something, right? Does that make sense? It's not like 1.5. Like 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. And that one would not print out mechanics. That would print out computational, because 3 divided by 3 is 1, not 1.333. So how do you do that? How do you find, like, if I have a number, let's say it's 19, how do I know is that divisible by 2? No. How do I tell the computer, like how does the computer know if it's divisible by 2? Yeah. Yeah.
Can you just do a formula to check if the number is even or odd?
If it's even or odd. So how would you know if it's even? What would be the formula for checking for even?
I don't remember what it is, but
Yeah.
Just check for the last digit if it's even or odd.
Okay. Yeah. Something like that. Sorry.
You can use the percentage.
A percent? Okay. So if I say like %2, and let me zoom in so we can actually see this thing. What is %2 gonna give me? Should give me 1. %2 gives me 1. The other part of this is like 19//2. It's like not so 19//2 plus 19% 2 over 19 gives you like 9 plus 1/19, like 9 remainder 1, or sorry, 1/2. Sorry, 9 1/2. Sorry, go ahead. A true? Okay, so if yeah, how do we check the type? think it's like, oh, is instance might be the way. And I gotta double check this. Yeah, someone said Husky CT is down. So I think this is what you're saying of like if like 19 divided by 2 is an integer, is instance integer, then move on. That could work sometimes, but there might be weird cases where you divide a number by 2 and it ends up being like 1.0 with an infinite number of zeros, or like a whole bunch of zeros and then maybe like a 1 at the end or something. And then it's like, okay, it's not an integer even though it could be an integer. So there might be like weird cases like that, but then it might work. Oh wait, is instance. Yeah, figure out. Yeah. But this is usually the way people kind of check, like, is it divisible by something? Percent lets you know, like, these are 19 is not divisible by 2, 20 is divisible by 2. So I'm either going to get some value or 0. Something like that. And same thing for like 5. 20% 5 is 0, but 23 is now 3. So if 23 and I think this one's rocks, right? And I'm going to change this to an I. So this is like the beginning of the process, right? Like we can identify, now we have a way of identifying, is this a multiple of something? And then an if-else statement to kind of go, if it is a multiple, then give us what we want. If it's not, then just give us what we started with, whatever number that is. So then 20, whenever I put in 20, I should get rocks, right? I should. And sure enough, I do, because 20% 5 is 0, so I get rocks. So then the next step is, how do I start combining these different if statements? There's different ways of doing it, but think about what we have so far. Right now we just have 2 cases, either 5 or not 5, but now we need like all 4 cases, 3, 2, 5, or everything else. So how do we do that? Okay, yeah, more if statements, more else statements. You could use else, yeah. Else.
You could try to put it all together with a for loop.
Yeah, then we could run through like all the I statements, right? Yeah. So then we can say like not just I equals something, but I is 0 through whatever we want.
Yeah.
I was asking like, how do we deal with like 3, 2, and 5s?
Oh no, I'm not doing that. That's your fault. I'm not like me. I'm saying I would take as many questions back. Search on this I submitted it. Oh no, it's way more expensive. You have to make sure. You can't just sit down and listen to it.
That's really funny.
All right, so I haven't included a for loop yet because I just want to test out. At least this is the way that I approach things. Of like, I want to be able to do it once before I tell it to do it 1,000 times. And I find that it's a helpful troubleshooting process because it's easier to deal with one output than it is to deal with like 500 outputs. So if I is 4 and I have if, elif, and then else, when is it going to stop and do something? Which one's actually going to get printed? Is it going to print I, mechanics, computational, or rocks? For I equals 4. Which one? Mechanics? Is it? Yeah, mechanics. So that's what I'm expecting. That's what I should get. And sure enough, that is what I get once it catches up. So mechanics. All right, cool. That's good. So now, what happens if it's divisible by, what if it's 6? Which one is it going to stop at? Is it going to print mechanics, computational, rocks, I? What do you think? Which one is it going to do? Yeah, will it continue? Is it going to print out both? Because both of these are true, right? For this elif statement. So what's it going to do? What do you think? Or what did you find? Did you try this already? What did you find? You think which one? I don't think it should Yeah, it's not going to give me both. It'll, in this case, it's only going to give me computational. And the way that this is working is like, whenever you start an if statement, that's whatever it has until this else statement, that's all one thing. So as soon as it finds a true value, it's going to stop checking everything underneath it. So the other thing that I've seen people try is like, instead of elif, have multiple if statements. Now what's going to happen? It's going to do all of them. So what's the output? What's it going to give me? Computational and mechanics? You don't need an else. You can just run an if statement, and if it's true, it happens, and then just have no else. Yeah. And I've seen some people running this, and they're ending up with like multiple lines of stuff because this was true and that's true. So it is giving you like computational mechanics.
Instead of saying if something turns out, if I is divisible by 5, then X is rocks. And then at the end, you do an if statement.
Yeah, start adding like.
Or like if, and then say if everything previously mentioned is correct, like X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you could have like variables in there and kind of and string. You can add strings together. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So we could do that to kind of combine it onto one line. Well, what happened? So, all right. So we're starting to make some progress, but what if it's 5? So the first statement is true. Just rocks. Just rocks. Rocks and 5. Why did it print rocks and 5? This is one if statement. That is one if statement. So like you can do this with like multiple if things, but it's gonna check every if, and the only time that else is in there is when it's the last, whatever it's connected to. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, like you can use this, go back to if, elif, else. You can do it that way too. And then you only get rocks. You're back to like, once it hits a true, it moves on. It does what it does, whatever that true statement said, and then moves on. But now it's going to skip over all of this. So even when these statements are true, they're not going to get checked because the first one was true. Yeah.
So I guess like in the previous example, like 6, do we want it to be multiple like words, or do we just want one word like this?
We want. Oh, sorry. Like when it gets to the number 6, which is divisible by 3 and 2, we want it to say computational mechanics. Okay. Yeah. And then when it gets to 7, we want it to print out the 7, not like something else. Like, yeah.
Is there a way to check if it satisfies the multiple condition in like an LF tree?
Yeah. Oh, I should say if there's 0, right? Yeah, so we could say if this and that, then it's an and statement. So they both have to be true for that to be true. Is it the most efficient? Is it the most efficient? I don't know if it's the most efficient.
That's how we're gonna do it?
I don't know. You can do it however you want. Yeah, whatever you want to do. Like sometimes I see instead of having and statements, we could say like %6. So all multiples of 6 are divisible by both 2 and 3. 15 for 3 and 5. Yeah.
So I guess what I was asking was like, could you do it in a way that like, each if statement almost like turns on a button, and you just kind of like repeat whatever buttons are turned on at like the end of the turn down? Like, because it was going through like all 3 if statements originally.
Yeah.
But then you ran into the issue where like the else is still printing conflict. So can you do something like if, I don't know, like, if the first if statement is true, print this. If the, I don't know, you put like 15, but if statement 1 and 2 are true, print computational blocks or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's almost like it kind of, each one turns on another button. You just at the end check whichever button you turned on to print out.
Yeah. Yeah, like have a function that's like 0, 1, 2 or something. I don't know.
I mean, you could do like you could use like an array or
I mean, that's what like basically if these two things are true, then print out this statement, right? So if I change this to a 6, I should get computational mechanics, right? Yeah? No? Why not? Yeah, hit the 3 first. So if we want to have if we want to check things in a certain order, I have to change the order of how I want these things to get checked. So I wanted to check if it's both before I check if it's one or the other. Something like that. Now I get what I'm looking for. And again, there's more than one way to do this. So if you're like, no, I can make this better, then yeah, go for it. Do something else, and I'm happy to help however you want to do it. Yeah. But I wanted to show you kind of like how this logic kind of gets set out, like what the computer's looking for when you're kind of struggling with it. Like, why don't you understand what I'm saying? Very obvious to me what I want.
Sort of gloves there. Ornaments gloves.
The thing is that every time I do it, but
Yeah, we did MSc at every point. Wait, is this the? Yeah.
Well, SCCT has been down. All right, let me close this out. Thanks.